That was a 2024 remix of the song New Girl Now off of my guest's just released album from February 16th of this year, Alive. That was New Girl Now by Honeymoon Suite. And I am honored to have first time on this show, but the second time I've had a chance to talk to the band. This is Derry Grehan from Honeymoon Suite. Derry, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Sam, I'm doing good. What's going on? Good to talk to you.
And yeah, the last time we talked, I think it was you I talked to when I was back at in the day at Niagara Community Radio. Was during COVID, and we were there wasn't really much to talk about because there wasn't much going on. But now there's a lot of stuff going on with you guys. Some great, cool stuff. We'll touch a little bit on the past, and then we're going to touch a little bit on the present and some real cool music in between. And you guys have been a band together since 1981. Johnny D was one of the co-founders of the band, and yourself and Dave Betts joined in 1983. So you three have been together over the long haul and the nurturing of the band. What has kept you three in this band and doing what you love so much?
I don't know, man. Like I think at the foundation of it, we're just good old friends. We're friends still. Never been any major blowouts or FUs or anything. We just love hanging out still after all these years and playing together. What can I say? I don't know. I don't analyze it, but we don't see each other that much actually because we're not on the road year round and we're not on long tours cramped up in a bus for months. So when we see each other, it's like a few days on a weekend. We make the most of it. We goof off and we just get caught up, and everybody still loves to play. So there you are.
Now, you guys, like you said, you still love to play. Now, you guys have released 8 albums over the timeline of Honeymoon Suite. You've done 20 singles, 4 of which hit the Billboard chart in the United States, and 15 out of the 20 singles that you released charted here in Canada. That must make you feel really good that the people of Canada have embraced you so much, and in a small way, the United States as well. How does that make you feel to have that kind of fan support in North America and, of course, the world?
Oh, it's great. It's for me, it's everything I ever worked for since I was a kid and first picked up a guitar. I wanted to be in a band and write songs and be famous and tour all around, and all those things eventually happened. But it was just years of work and finally meeting up with Johnny and finding the right combination of people, and I had the right songs at the right time, and they worked. What can I say? We got so lucky with just the first album going through the roof and 4 singles off of it. Everything just kind of came together at the right time. So I couldn't have been happier. Still am happy. Very lucky.
And you say that, and you mentioned that first album with the four monster singles off of it. Was that your breakthrough moment? And how did you feel going into making the second album? Did you feel a lot of pressure to match or better what you did already, or were you just hoping to do uh good music and let it stand on its own?
No, man, we had to step up for the sophomore record or whatever you want to call it. Of course, just to prove that we weren't a fluke. So the labels, we had more money and more people working for us, and we moved up to Bruce Fairburn, to a much bigger producer. But I think we stepped it up, and the writing was there, and I knew it was coming from me. So I started writing for the second album as soon as the first one started taking off, because I knew it was coming, and we all wanted it to be bigger and better, and it was.
And just some of the hits that you've had in the early days. You had Stay in the Light, Feel It Again, Wave Babies. Love Changes Everything, Burning in Love, just to name a few of the songs that the listeners will recognize, and all hits for you guys in various capacities and various ways. That's all wonderful stuff. And you've already said that you love that that's happened. But how do you feel about some of your music being used in television and movies?
I don't have a problem with it at all. Again, as a songwriter, that's just a great thing if it's in the right movie or the right you know TV show or whatever. I mean, I just get a kick out of it. Why not? It's good for the band. It's good for me. It's just good. It gets the music out and reaches more people, and lets lets people know about Honeymoon Suite. And we've been really lucky with like the Miami Vice stuff and the feature films, and it's really cool because you never know. It just comes out of the blue. In fact, there's a movie coming out this year with Tommy Lee Jones in it, and it's called, I think, Finest Kind. And I just heard about this the other day. They're going to use New Girl now in that movie, and it's like a major Hollywood movie. So for me, every time I get that call, I'm like, damn, that's great. I love it.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that. For me, as a fan, not as a media guy, but as a fan, I think it's one of the ultimate pieces of respect when somebody of that major ilk, Hollywood, comes calling and says, "We want your song for our project." And that must make you feel really good. And it's got to be something that your fans just love to see happen for you as well.
Yeah, it's the ultimate. It's a real compliment. It's really nice if I'm the guy that wrote that particular song, it's like just gives it more life. And because I love watching movies and I listen to a lot of music in movies and soundtracks. And then when my song is our song is a part of it, I get a kick out of it, man. It's awesome.
Speaking of getting a kick out of when your songs are playing in movies and that sort of thing, where were you the first time you heard a Honeymoon Suite song? Were you driving or were you at home or?
On the radio,
Yeah,
well, there's two versions of that. Um, when we demoed New Girl now for the first time for the Q107 thing, and then they started
right.
playing that on the radio, just the demo, that was a lot of that was really exciting. But then we got the deal and we recorded the album. And I think the first time we heard New Girl Now, we were in a station wagon driving to Halifax. And I think we were just pulling into Halifax because we had a gig there and we'd driven that far from Toronto and in a damn station wagon, early 80s. And the rock station there, we had it on, and New Girl Now came on. And that was really exciting because the album had just come out.
That's awesome. That's cool. I can remember my first time being heard on the radio. Um, I had pre-recorded the show because they wanted to use it as a test. So I recorded the show, and I don't listen to me. I just do not listen to me. That's one thing I don't do. And I was actually in the car driving to a bar that you will recognize, Bannisters.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to go see a show there that night, and I was driving there, and my show came on the college station there, and I didn't know it was coming. So like for me, I was like, that sounds familiar, and I actually nearly wrapped the car into a pole because I was like looking at the radio, going, "Is that me?" So I kind of get the feeling that you felt that day, and it's very cool to hear yourself for the first time.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm over it, and I'm glad to just let the experts do their thing and never cross that line if I don't have to again, unless I have to. But you guys have been performing for a lot of years. You've done openings for shows, you've closed out shows, you've headlined shows, you've done solo projects, you've done festivals, that sort of thing. So you've opened for a lot of great bands. Is there a band out there that you've would put on your bucket list that you would love to perform with, either as a headliner, co-headliner, opener, that sort of thing?
Well, it would have been Van Halen, of course. But that's never happened and not going to happen. But nowadays, uh, geez, that's a good question. I don't know. I would like to be on the bill with like a foreigner, not foreigner, Journey or Def Leppard, something
Bobcat?
in our ballpark. That would be exciting to be on one of those shows, kind of thing.
And you know what, and you would fit,
Yeah.
you would fit on that bill because your music is very resonating, and well, all those bands that you mentioned are great bands.
Yeah.
And that would be a great show for somebody. Maybe we should try and find somebody to get that done.
Yeah, we totally would. That'd be
Now,
exciting.
I mentioned the fact that you've got 8 albums out. The new album is Alive. Just came out February the 16th. Tell us about that album.
Um, we started it about 3 years ago, in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is south of Nashville. Why were we there? Because our producer, Mike Crumpus, was living there at the time. He's a Toronto boy, but he's been living in the US for a long time. He's a songwriter, producer kind of guy. And I connected with Mike at one point, working with him with my doing some demos with my daughter Leah Marlene for her little career that she was starting. And then um, Mike, we got talking about Honeymoon Suite. He was a fan, and we got talking about a new album. And Johnny and I played him some new songs, and he said, "Let's do it." So that's how it started there, and we worked on that. We brought the boys down. We cut some bed tracks, and then about a year later, he decides to move to England. So off he goes over there, and Johnny and I now have to fly over to the England and finish our tracks there. And then COVID hits, and that just kind of shut everything down. So things got put off. It's been a long process, and this record has been all over the place, from Tennessee to Minnesota to England. We've recorded a bunch of places, but I think it's cool because of that, because there's a lot of flavors on it. So in a nutshell, that's basically how the album is done. And finally, Mike is back in Canada now, and he got it mixed, and here we are. It's out finally.
Yeah, and our sister show, Plan B with Ms. B, which is on in the afternoons here on the station, has been showcasing the album. What she does is she has a 3-hour program. She plays 1 track per hour on the show, and then the next show she does the next 3 and that sort of thing. So she's been really giving the album a good play for the listeners in that. And we've had some very positive feedback.
Oh,
How
great.
can people get the album?
You can find it in Canada on our web store, which is called Merch in Motion. Just one word, Merch in Motion. They'll have all of our albums are there, the CDs and vinyl, t-shirts, everything you could want, Honeymoon Suite. So that's where to buy in Canada.
That's awesome. And I will post that on my Facebook page
Yes.
after the interview. And where can fans follow you besides Facebook? I know you're on Facebook. Where else can they follow Honeymoon Suite?
Instagram. Go to Instagram. We're pretty active there. Just put in Honeymoon Suite. It'll take you to our Instagram page. We also have a website, which is honeymoonsuiteband.com. And dates are listed on there. So we're out there.
Yeah, and you've got a few shows coming up over the next few months. You've got a show coming up in May at the Arcadia Theater. So you must be excited about the fact that you're still getting opportunities to do shows and that sort of thing. And it looks like you guys are enjoying what you're doing, and you're doing, in my opinion, you're doing it wisely. You're not jamming everything all in at once and running a quote tour. You're doing shows, and you're spreading them enough apart that it's exciting for you and the fans as well. And I think that's very cool what you're doing.
Yeah, well, thank you. But I would play more if we could, but there isn't enough venues, or I mean, there's not enough bookings right now. This time of year, it's kind of slow, but the summer fills up pretty good. And yes, you're right. We do a lot of weekend stuff, Fridays and Saturdays. That's just the way the festivals pan out in the summer for all the bands. Um, but we are doing a full tour next November, right across Canada. So that'll be a little bit longer. I think that's 12, maybe 15 shows. So that'll be good. I think we're coming to Hamilton too, actually. So
Well, if you are, I will definitely buy tickets and get to the show.
yeah.
And please, well, I'll talk to Eric Alper and I'll get the tour dates and that sort of thing, and we'll promote them on the radio station.
Oh, great.
You know, the Alberta shows and all across Canada, so people will have an opportunity to get the tickets for the show. Now, the album Alive is 12 tracks, and the one track that I really have a lot of respect for is the title track, which we'll be playing at the end of the show, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But there is a bonus track on the album that is a remastered version of New Girl Now. Why did you put that on the album? Most of the people that are fans have a copy of it, and this is a great, clean copy, and it's the copy that I played at the beginning of the show, so people can hear it. And you guys did a great job remastering it.
Yeah. Well, when we were doing our bed tracks at Mike's place in Tennessee, initially for starting the album, at the end of the session, Mike suggested that we re-record some of the hits like New Girl and Love Changes Everything, and maybe a couple more we did, because we're all set up and ready to go. Because a lot of times labels will request the bonus track thing, especially with a label like Frontiers, which is our European label, and Japan. They always want a different version in different territories. So when you give them a couple of bonus tracks, it just sweetens the pot, and people get more music. And in Canada, yeah, we put those on there because it's just it's a collector's item. It's a cool thing for the fans. And the new versions, we tried to stay as true as we could to the originals. It was a lot of fun for me because I had to go back and learn my guitar parts and my solos. It was refreshing to review those and re-record. So it was kind of fun to do that. If you listen to them, though, they are so close to the original. And Johnny's voice, you wouldn't know the difference, after all these years. Still sounds like he's, in 1986. It's amazing. So I don't know, just a cool thing to do.
And that's what I was talking about earlier when we were talking off air. I was talking about the fact that after all these years, you guys still had that same sound with the honeymoon suite sound, and the fact that Johnny is still singing and resonating as well as he ever has, and the band sounds as tight as it ever has, and it's got that unique honeymoon suite sound, which is adaptable and changeable, but you still know it's a honeymoon suite song.
Yeah, man.
Is that deliberate?
Yeah, of course it is. We are who we are, right? His voice is his voice, and my guitar, whatever, the type of songs we write. That's our brand, if you will. That's what our fans love about the band. And we're not going to try and be we're not going to try and be a grunge band because it's 1995, we are, again, who we are. We just move ahead. But I will say that with the new album, it's the production on it is really refreshing. Mike is a real genius the way he mixed it and produced it. He captured the essence of what we are, the big choruses and big guitars and drums, but he also updated the sound. And there's a few sort of modern twists to the production there, but not enough that people are going to get alienated and think we're trying to be something else than we're not. So I think that's why people are really liking the sound of this record so much.
Now, when they go to a honeymoon suite show now, what can they expect? Obviously that you'll get the hits, you'll get some new music, some different music. But what can they expect?
Just what you said. We're going to play all the best songs that we've always played, because that's what people are slapping their money down to buy tickets and come see the band. They don't want to hear a bunch of new songs they don't know. They want to hear the songs that they know and love. and we love them too. So you're gonna hear all those songs. Feel It Again, New Girl Now, What Does It Take, on and on. That show is just packed full of those hits, and we're gonna sneak in. Well, not sneak in. We're going to put in maybe one or two from the new record. But I'll tell you what, those songs fit in seamlessly with the other songs. I mean, this album, this new Alive album, fits right in there between The Big Prize and Racing After Midnight. I think it's just as good sonically, and the material, it's seamless. I think as good as the songs there. So I think that people won't run out of the room when we sneak a new song in, and I think they'll really enjoy it. Plus, they're the singles, so I just think that makes the whole set stronger.
And with that, I want to thank you for taking some time for me. I am so glad to have had a chance to talk to you. It's great that I get an opportunity every so often to support local bands. And by local, I mean the Golden Horseshoe, Hamilton, Burlington, Niagara, St. Catharines. It's a true honor to see you guys succeed, because this is really a hotbed of rock. And I think there's a lot of great talent out there. And I want to thank you for taking some time for me. And I wish you a lot of luck. And hopefully we'll be able to get you back on maybe in October and talk about the November tour.
Sure, Sam. Well, good talking to you, man. Thank you.
Now, before we go, as you know, I warned you in advance. We're going to play a song to take us home off the Alive album. Would you please introduce it for us?
Sure. Hey, people, as if you don't already know, it's Derry from Honeymoon Suite, and you are going to listen, or you are listening to the new single off of our new album called Alive, and the song is called Alive. It's going to make you feel alive. Check it out. Thank you.